limited time that we have. I'm going to try and keep this to around 5-6 minutes for the questions, so that time allows. If time is allowed, we'll have some questions at the end. Enel is a leader in Europe in renewables. I know that you have a great interest in storage systems, and you have a lot of projects that are currently running. And from the previous two speakers, we had many different scenarios, and how all these things are affecting an investor's plans. Thank you very much for the floor, and I would also like to thank Energy Press for the invitation in the 5th consecutive year. It's very interesting every year. This year we also have something very tangible. We have a tender that's already been carried out, and we're going to have a second tender hopefully soon. We've made a lot of progress since 2019, when for the first time we've talked openly about the issue of storage until today. Already the market since back then had already tried with all the regulatory instruments that they had at the time to develop some projects, whether that was behind-the-meter batteries collocated with RES projects, or whether they were behind-the-meter systems. There was the commission, the storage commission. There was so there were the different categories were established, and now there is a regulatory framework that all investors have to follow in order to design their projects. I'm going to focus on what Mr. Papathanasiou also mentioned about the differences on projects which are collocated with storage at 11A and 11B. But first I need to say that that everything is required in order to achieve the 2030 goal. Therefore, we're talking about kind of multifaceted problem with a multi-level response. So we have the pumped storage, we have battery storage, we have anything that we can use in order to achieve our goals, and above all to optimize the use of electric space, because all the scarcities now is found in the electrical space. So therefore, when we talk about the differentiation between the projects of 11A category and 11B, I would say that 11A projects are the ones which are it's the collocation of a RES with a battery, but that's the renewable that basically is using the electric space, and the battery plays a supplementary role in order to avoid potential curtailments, but also to give an added value, because somebody will be able to sell the electricity at a higher price at different parts of the day, but also make it clear that it's the renewable that leads the system. 11B, we're talking about a different thing, where the battery reserves the electric space, and the renewable is the one that is actually supporting the battery. This has as a result, these projects do not create any problems to the electric space. Therefore, a line that might be considered to be saturated, taking into account also any possible static, can receive terms of connection even in a saturated line. It's like a battery. Essentially, a RES is what is, in this case, in this system, helps the sustainability of this model, because in contrast with the standalone systems that we have today, which they still have a high cost of charging, because unfortunately, yes, we talk about low prices, we talk about price cannibalism in the future, but the reality is different. So it's not very easy to see a significant reduction in the next 2 or 3 years, also taking into account the geopolitical conditions. Therefore, we're talking about a multi-factor issue, and these things have to be taken into account, and timing is very important. So therefore, when we see that the battery equipment is now going down, and that might be good, then we might have to move faster now towards a direction, both for standalone and also for 11A and 11B, and create the necessary circumstances in the market through financing, and at the price that it's lower now than kind of possibly might be in the future. But finally, I'd like to say that in a free market, the main principle is the kind of free access to the electric space, the level playing field. This as a condition is not always true in the current situation that we're experiencing. This is something that should not be used for a ministerial decision that was made under different circumstances a few years ago, and if we see that projects with storage need to be created, then, as I said earlier, there are projects which since 2019 have followed the licensing procedure, and they're ready to receive terms of connection. Therefore, there is the right kind of path that's been followed by investors, and they have licensed these kind of projects that we're talking about prioritizing.